essaying. All right, I'm gonna read through this. Get nice, comfy, cozy. This is my reactioni before we get into Chef today. So this is our Master Duel, filled with paragraphs and bullet points. So that's a good start here. You know, it's not written by an 8-year-old. 6 months of Master Duel. A returning player's wall of text retrospective. All right, let's see how this person feels about coming back to the game into the glorious malice meta we've had over the last couple of months. Hi, I started Master Duel in the beginning of July. I decided it's highly likely I'm going to stop playing at the end of this year. Well, we're off to a good start. I know many won't care, but for the part of the community that does, I felt I should share some of my insights and a bit about what I did as a new player as well as suggestions. Okay, I'm curious where he started with. Like, how long is this break? Thank you, Jodacam. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! When it first came out as a kid, and I also played in 2015. Casually, non-competitive, only did local side from one regional. I was used to synchros, vaguely aware of Xyz, not idea what link or pens were. So, was the last time he played 2015? Originally, my Master Duel goal was to play 1 month, make it to Diamond 5 in 2 months. I made it to Diamond 5 in 1 month, thanks to this community pointing me to the Red Dragon Archfiend deck, which I understood easily due to it being a synchro-based, and stuck around for 6. Alright. So, this person hasn't played in 8 years, and they went and attempted to get Diamond in 2 months, and they actually did it faster than they thought, with Red Dragon Archfiend. Alright. Very cool. Originally, I wanted to focus on me versus the computer duels for obvious reasons. That didn't happen. What is the obvious reason? I mean, you're you're giving a very unique perspective here. It would be important to get your logic and reason for it. Solo mode is, I don't feel like very rewarding. There's a couple of fun things here and there, but in terms of like raw challenge, I mean, to be fair, okay, the last one I did was the Goblin one. It was a challenge insofar as learning how the combo worked or what the win condition was and then establishing it. It was decent, but I don't know. It doesn't really feel like very repeatable. It's not really dynamic. I don't think you're going to get like, I don't know, a story mode style, you know, PlayStation Tag Force style repeatable type of content. You know what I'm saying? Which it would be cool if we had something like that. I finally achieved Master 5 this past month running a budget Malice deck. Missing some cards I'd like to have but aren't essential, like Charmies and Reboot. This month? Wait, it took 4 months to get Master 5? Okay. Budget Malice is also weird, because I'm curious how they establish their gem economy. If they're only working toward, like... So, the Red Dragon Archfiend deck, from what I remember, is like a structure deck? So, if they did a couple of events here and there, they should have been in a decent spot to get, like, pretty much everything. I don't particularly want to put win stats because behavior-wise, they're probably a bit skewed. But I played... Whoa! He recorded them. I played 1,046 standard duels and won 554 of them. My total number of PvP duels was 1,755 and I won 928. Only hit Master Duel level 7. Stuck on Ritual Summoning. Just... Yeah, let me introduce you to Mitsurugi. Okay, my decision to play Malice was fourfold. It was a fairly self-contained archetype. A lot of what I saw with Yugioh, Tear Slop, etc. was that they needed a whole different archetypes and engines. These relied on card pools I didn't have, and at the time I joined up, I could only get through crafting with valuable UR points. I want to learn Link summoning, and what better way than learning a Link deck, and I really like the Alice in Wonderland and Remove from Play theme, and it was obviously a high-performing deck. Self-contained archetype is interesting, I guess, because there is a lot of, like, random... I think when you come to the extra deck, there's always going to be crossover, but Cyber's extra decks are usually the most unique, since a lot of decks can't play, like your generic Transcode, Splash Mage, although, to be fair, I think those are only supers. So maybe Cyber's actually isn't that expensive. I didn't just focus on competitive, I tried to have fun with an Exodia deck, and I tried to build some other decks that just were never completed. Well, I see where we're wasting our gems. If I had to tell my past self one thing, it would be the fun decks aren't fun when a third of the matches are outright losses. And that casual are more for people to learn their new competitive decks, not for casual matches. I don't know why Konami doesn't put a ban list in casual mode. Would that be so hard to just, like, I don't know, go through the best decks in the game right now, which probably is, like, everything above this tier 3 thing, right? Ban Dracotail, Malice, Man, Yugioh, Mitsu, Onomat, Luna, Branded, Orcust. Like, literally, you just ban all of that in casual, you might actually get, like, a really interesting metagame there. I don't know. Nobody will play ranked? That you are completely wrong. Orcust is a casual deck. Orcust would be way too powerful if the other decks were banned. That's not true. Where were we? Casual matches for more people to learn the new competitive decks, not for casual matches. Because I used a lot of gems to make things that never planned out. I didn't really start using Malice till October. Mitsu was really when I had a lot of problems with my pure RDA deck. Some suggestions. I know it's as a CCG, it's a bit pay to win by default, but the model of releasing cards full power and then nerfing them later on is pretty what the fuck. Does he mean man lists? Like for... Because Malice was fine, right? So, at least in the context of Malice. I'm at least happy they did what looks like some yummy nerfs right away based on what I've read about, but I'm also reading that they're not big hits anyway. Some lists, like the OCG ban list, already limit Snatchy to 1, but how the passes they gave to Malice, Raizo, Mitsu, and Jugito were insane, and I feel deeply affect how competitive the game for. I don't know what their point is with this. They seem upset that they're pre-hitting their deck, but also okay that they pre-hit Yummy. But the model of releasing cards full power and then nerfing them later is pretty what the fuck. I'm not really sure what they're trying to say with this. The loner decks in the event duels are like C-. It's incredibly frustrating matching with people who pull out some really insane decks. Maybe pit loner decks among loner decks only or something. Oh, that's actually a really smart idea. I would love that. If you queue up into an event with a loner deck, you can only get queued into other loner decks. That'd be kind of interesting. Or, God forbid, you have an event where you can only, like, play loner. They would never do that because, you know, people wouldn't spend money. Jackasses like me enter these duel trials and craft URs that no one has seen play since 2009 just to make a funny video. So, yeah, they're never going to let that fly. But, theoretically, loner versus loner would be a really good idea. Structure versus structure would be a good idea as well. I think they just did that recently, but it's not really how it works. You basically just put 3 structure decks together and then you have a fully constructed deck. It's not really the same as like playing with just a structure deck duel. Anyway, I was surprised at how non-existent the single player and casual market is in the game. He literally said that Malice should have been pre-hit. He's not complaining his deck was hit. Oh, okay. Well, it was a clunky paragraph. I didn't understand it. I was very surprised at how non-existent the single player and casual market is in the game. Casual market? I figured a game like this, it would be incredibly profitable to be putting in buyable solo mode. Stop giving them ideas! Like, holding different formats. I think they hyper-focus on this being a competitive game mode, and as such, it feels quite a bit lacking. I feel buyable solo modes in this... What are you doing, dude? This guy's a plant. This is not real. Buyable solo modes in the sense of the dual pass, where you make the gems back you spent on it, as well as introducing some challenges with replayable rewards that shouldn't be spammed would be nice. Okay, if you make your gems back, that could be alright. Or at least reset the gem rewards on the current challenges every so often. What would that really... What's the difference, though, really? I mean, it kind of... All it would really do would be... It would just make the solo modes mandatory. Because the way the dual pass works is... You always just buy the dual pass. Because you buy the dual pass every month. Because it pays for itself. You get all your gems back. And you also get a bunch of crafting points and stuff. So the solo mode would basically just be... The problem with solo mode isn't like... The incentive of solo mode needs to be that it's good gameplay. Not that it's going to give you good rewards. Although you can do both... rewards are usually going to be the thing that helps. The problem is that if the rewards are really good for like a solo mode thing, solo mode just turns into a chore. It doesn't turn into like an actual fun game mode that people want to take part in, right? And if as soon as you make something a chore, you're going to lose players long term. I wish they introduced a bit more in the way of bundles to give newer players cheaper access to older cards. I mean, they did that recently, right? Isn't that literally one of the new selection packs? It's literally just a staple bundle. Like, secret packs are nice, but they're also the same gem cost as the selection packs, which are packing the most powerful archetypes. Older URs are the same cost as current URs. This is an interesting point, actually. I would really hate for there to be even more currencies, because that shit can get really confusing. For example, I really hate that there's like multiple types of dust. Like the fact that there's like 5 different types of dust is like kind of stupid. I mean, obviously it's easy to get the hang of once you know what you're doing. But just having one giant dust pool, I think, is fine. Just so I know that I'm not going crazy, I'm pretty sure that is a selection pack right now. Birth of a Challenger. It's this one, right? Yeah, this is a literal just staple pack. Look at that. You can just pull Fua, Imperm, Thrust, Tactics, Talent, Ash, Ogre, Bell. Yeah, I mean, this is a good pack. Admittedly, this is the first time they've done it, I think. I don't think we've ever had anything like this before. It's been 4 years, but, you know. Older URs costing the same as current URs is an interesting, what's the word, flagging of an issue here. So, one of the biggest issues in Duel Links that I recall when I played was my deck needed a expensive like card from a box that was legitimately like 4 years old. And you would spend the exact same money today on a Duel Links box as you did 5 years ago. What they did was, I think like last year, they changed it so that after a certain point, there was like a massive price discount or gem discount or something on those packs or boxes in Duel Links. So maybe something like that could be interesting, because it is weird to like start playing. If you play Macedon now, if you come into Macedon now, I don't think you can play Macedon and optimally use your gems without getting help. I don't think a new player would ever be able to do that, and it is like an overwhelming chore. If you remember when I did my Immortal channel challenge thing where I played a deck from scratch, which, by the way, I think I want to do it again at some point. When I did that challenge, I recall that I was playing Crystron, and Crystron isn't even that expensive, but there are so many ultra rare hand traps and stuff. I don't think I fully optimized and completed my deck list until like mid-platinum, because of how many ultra rares there are, right? So it's like when we started playing the game in 2022 or something, the amount of gems that you required was like, you know, it was like somewhere here, but we were all starting at this level here, right? And then over time, that gem number has like kind of increased, right? For like new decks and new archetypes, right? So this is like year 1, year 2, year 3, and then now when you're getting into Macedon, like year 4, you are coming in as a player at this point. Do you see like how massive that UR cost is from when we started playing to now? Because it's like this it's like this backlog of all of these cards that we had at the start of the game that now you need to buy with the newer decks as well. Because all of the hand traps and stuff were really expensive at the start of the game, but a lot of the decks were very cheap. If you recall, one of the best decks in the game at the start of Macedon's release was like Tri-Brigade. I think Tri-Brigade Zoo. I think Shureg Ultra and Dryden. And that's it, if I'm not mistaken. And you compare that to today, Arthalion Ultra, Phimina Ultra, Ketu Ultra, Rahu Ultra. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so new players are just like, they are kind of playing catch up in some way. So, yeah, maybe like a discounted amount of sorts could help perhaps long term. But yeah. That was just a random tangent. I just thought it was interesting. Kind of hard to justify crafting Fiendsmith if I need more cards for Draco Tail to stay competitive. A bundle for some of the newer cards needed, like the Charmies, would be nice, but I understand why that would be unpopular. Why that would be more unpopular than just giving older bundles. Okay, this was posted 24 hours ago. I mean, this person is clearly misinformed because there literally is a pack that has all this. But I can't remember how old it is, but I mean, that is a thing. There is literally a staple pack. Legacy pack tickets are poop as a reward. Shuffle up the card pool a bit. I have 6 copies of Don't Slip, The Dogs of War. That's 1 copy for each month I've been playing. Suggest just figure out a way to reward master packs or some other secret packs. That way, even if I can't dismantle something, I don't want it. I don't have 6 freaking copies of it. Unfortunately, this is just like the integrated design of a gacha game. You need to have really shit cards and pulls and packs to make the ones you want feel rewarding. This is like just the psychology of gambling. It sucks. It really is shit that is how the mechanics and the functionality of the game is. But legacy packs serve no purpose other than to be like, wow, this is garbage. Let me go get some better packs. Like that's it. It's just a pure psychological like pipeline to make you spend money. So no one is under the impression legacy packs are good. No one at Konami thinks those are good packs that you should go into and try and build competitive cards with. Like that is just, they are there to make you go buy other cards that are better. Would it be good if they let you dismount it? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'd love that. They're not going to do it. You know? We know they're not. It's literally there for Doug to make a wheel video. It's there for me. It's there to keep me from playing archetypes that require a legacy pack QR I don't have. Yep. Figure out a system for normal crafting points and rare crafting points becoming useful. My suggestion would be allowing you to use them to get an increased chance of a glossy or royal finish craft. That's way it's not like it's making URs and SRs to get, but they still do something. I'd like to believe my whole ultra rare royal finish decks aren't things people spend money on, despite seeing about 5 of them. Maybe keep it on a cooldown, like you can only increase the odds twice a month. If someone puts in 2 years of continuous effort, they'll have a near full glossy deck. A lot of this stuff is just really simple and easy implementations that they're just not going to do because the moment you devalue, and when I say devalue, whenever if they're going to ever create an alternative pathing and route to obtain royal rares, they risk losing the whales who spent all of their money to get full royal decks. They're going to feel upset and hurty and sad that all of the brokies now have access to a royal system. And that's a big risk for them as a company because now what's going to happen is they quit the game or they stop playing, etc., etc. And that is, you know, not something they would want to happen because they're the ones who keep spending money on the game. Now, if the rumors are true, if it's anything close to palatable for anyone who saw some of the posts on Reddit and floating around these reports by Square Enix, I think it was, or something Final Fantasy related. Apparently, they somehow, for some reason, had information that Masudo operating profit is at 97%. Like Masudo after costs, after overheads, salaries, R&D, investment, Masudo operates at like a 97% profit rate. Now, just wait, assuming that that's correct, just wait and see what happens when they bring frame breaks to Masudo. I'm not going to be shocked whatsoever if these cards also somehow make their way into the game. There's a risk, maybe, where that's bad for dude, Konami. There's a risk where these cards end up being overshadow royal rares, and then those same people that I talked about earlier get mad about their royal rares not feeling special anymore, so they don't want to spend money anymore. But then they can spend their money on this instead. Masudo's going to climb to like 197% profit rate if these things come to the game. I mean, they just make this shit like a 0.01% pull rate. Dude. I hate to give them ideas, but it's going to be money printer. The time limit seems really bizarre. Turn player only has to set up a field and deal with hand traps. Turn 2 player needs to set up a field, deal with hand traps, and deal with the field turn player 1 set up. I think there should be more seconds allotted to when your opponent has a response and such, maybe equalized by having less initial time. I don't know why this is controversial. People always like shit on me when I say this. I think that when you go to a new turn, you should get more time. You currently only get 30 seconds? You should have less time turn 1. You should have more time given to you on the following turns. Because as this person is saying, now you have to deal with the field. Now you have to deal with responses. Now you have to deal with the back and forth, as well as doing your combo. Like, I think the turn timer initially should be way lower. Like, I'm sorry, you should not be taking like 4 minutes to do a turn 1 combo digitally. and increasing the other turn timer for going second and then going into turn 2, turn 3 should be higher. As for why I'm probably leaving, why is this section so small, by the way? This was what I was hoping to get to. Like, the hell? I don't particularly feel like grinding for another deck again. I chose Malice because I thought it would last, and I'm sick of that old song and dance. I mean, on the one hand, it sucks that their deck is getting worse. But, like, in the time that it like, Yu-Gi-Oh just has this, like, you know, rotation, basically. We can call it whatever you want, but it is literally just rotation. Yu-Gi-Oh has, whenever you get a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, you understand that you are playing a deck with an expiry date. Whether it's going to just naturally get power crept out or Konami hit it, by the time that this person has enjoyed Malice for long enough, you should have had enough gems to go and get the next best deck that you want to try. Like, there are so many people who play Master Duel completely free to play and regularly hit Master 1 and play at the highest competitive level because they're economical with their gems. They don't, like, you know, go into these, like, tangential, like, 3 or 4 pet deck projects and then get halfway through and then don't finish their deck. Like, if you're smart about it, you don't need, like, money to play the game. And by the time that Malice is no longer good, which it has been for like 6 months now, and you will have enough for a new deck. On top of that, they're saying that I chose Malice because I thought it would last. Buddy, your deck is good. Your deck is good. Red Ransom got banned. They said it was going to die. It was the most represented deck in the Duelist Cup. It was like top 2 spots in like top 10. Even now, with the, limiting of White Rabbit, you've lost some consistency. The deck is still playable. It's not going to be broken best deck with Yummy and K9 eventually. It's still good. It's still fine. And even worse than that, you could just dismantle. You get your refund back for the White Rabbit and the Red Ransom and all that stuff just now. If you really don't want to play it anymore, you could put that towards a real deck. I don't want to learn another deck again. I still mess up the decks, I know, sometimes. I mean, as harsh as it is to say, I mean, it's just a skill issue, right? Like, Yu-Gi-Oh requires a decent amount of skill floor to maintain and keep playing. So, that's just, yeah, I mean, it's a time investing hobby. It isn't something that you can kind of just, like, pick up and do. It is, yeah, it's a strategy card game. Like, it will require some degree of cognitive maintenance. And that's just how it is. Like, maybe it could just be that this is not your a hobby for you, right? I hit Master 5. I don't see myself getting beyond that, nor would I really want to. Fair enough. I'm just done with all the shenanigans, needing to keep track, what to hand trap, how to bait stuff. I'm tired, boss. New year, new hobby. Well, I mean, they literally just recognized it, right? They saw it. Like, a strategy card games are not for this person, ultimately, is really what this feels like it's kind of boiling down to. But regardless, it was interesting to see what their perspective was, even though it seems a bit, I don't want to say, like, wrong. There's never such thing as a wrong opinion for why you don't want to play a game. Like, that's never really justified for the most part. I think overall they went about and approached the game correctly. They did the right things. They learned, they picked up guides. They were somewhat reasonable with their gems. They picked one archetype. They stuck to it. They got better at it. They hit a goal of getting master. They hit master. And now it's like not the game for them because that process wasn't fun. Fundamentally, at a core level, wasn't like an enjoyable experience. And now they're going to go do something else. It is what it is. Card games are niche. That's the reality. There's a reason why the Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering Hearthstone section on Twitch has a few thousand, not hundreds of thousands, like Counter-Strike and Call of Duty and Valorant, etc., etc. That's just, it is what it is. It's a niche kind of hobby. We just kind of accept that we play something that is a little bit different and outside the norm. 0 upvotes. Yeah, Reddit are just like, you know, no one is able to understand nuance. No one is capable of any sort of intelligent thought outside of black and white, yes, no, good, bad. I don't think this person said anything egregiously stupid or dumb. Like, it's just in the end, like, that's their opinion and it is what it is. Sounds like you just don't like Yu-Gi-Oh! Learning new decks and evolving your strategy with the game is the most fundamental part. I mean, not necessarily, you know. There's a reason Time Wizard exists. Like, you just lock in on a specific time frame and format and play that game over and over again. Like, that is a thing. And Master doesn't offer you that experience, right? Like, this person is talking from the perspective of someone that has only ever played Ranked. You still evolve the strategy? No, you do not evolve the strategy of Edison anywhere near to the same extent as learning and adapting to a new meta deck every 3 months. I'm sorry, like, don't kid yourself. On top of that, you pick the strongest, cheesiest meta deck and are surprised it's getting hit. Homie, you could have picked something like Branded, which is allergic to bans, and you could have kept the same deck till 2055. Sounds like you just enjoyed playing the strongest deck and not learning any interactions or anything about other decks. That's fine, but you didn't need a wall of text just to say, I don't actually want to learn a card game anymore. I mean, this response is funny, but it's really mean, and I don't even know how correct it is. Like, chill the fuck out, dude. Sounds like you just don't like Yu-Gi-Oh! Then I think that's a good part of it. It's definitely a faster pace to what I expected and felt a bit more like Solitaire than responding back and forth. That being said, the times it was an interactive back and forth game were incredibly fun. Admittedly, if they were looking for gameplay that's back and forth and interactive, they picked the wrong deck. Maliss doesn't offer that, unfortunately. You picked the strongest, cheesiest meta deck and are surprised it's getting hit. I don't know what, like, this guy's, like, trying to say with that, by the way. Like, yeah, you join a competitive card game, you look up the best decks and you pick one of the best decks. Like, he literally said, I wish my biggest regret was hyper focusing on, like, these other, you know, rogue decks and pet decks, realizing that a third of your games are just unplayable, not fun garbage. Like, he literally recognized that. I'm not surprised it's getting hit. I guess I just expected it to get hit more in the way the TC USDG handle as opposed to how it's being handled in Master Duel. For picking Branded, I just wasn't interested in that playstyle. And again, there were other considerations than power level. Yeah, also, like, why didn't you pick Branded? Because it was last longer? I don't know, dude. Maybe not everyone likes fusion summoning. Has this person considered that? Like, you didn't need a wall of text just to say, I don't actually want to learn a card game. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, you didn't need to reply with your own wall of text, right? Like, it's the internet. It's a public forum. I don't know. It's just such a moot point to say something like this. I don't know. This is one of my biggest pet peeves on the internet, is when people say, like, triggered much? What? Clearly you care. It's like, yeah, dude, it's a public forum where people discuss and share opinions. Like, I don't know. It wasn't just that. In fact, most of it was impressions as a new player and suggestions, like game purchasable solo modes being a fun addition. For what it's worth, Malice is one of the few cases where the hits really do have to differ. Most people play it as bounce around best of 3, where you have a 15-card side deck that can be used to help adapt to certain decks and matchup. This means the decks which operate on a different axis to the rest of the format can heavily be targeted with options to side into for games 2 and 3. Yeah, but okay. This is probably true, but I hate that's the design aspect of it, okay? Designing decks in a way where, but they can lose to side deck cards in games 2 and 3 is fucking miserable. That is horrible design, and I hope that isn't actually how they fully make their decks. I think, you know, I'm hashtag team delete the side deck, unironically. Malice often straight up ignores most of their fair hand traps, but struggles a lot more into more targeted hate, like Lancia. So when every deck in the format is siding 6 to 9 anti-Malice cards, the deck becomes a lot more beatable. You can main deck staples with generic coverage and swap those for higher impact Malice counters when you run into it, but when you introduce an archetype like this into best of 1, players are forced to main deck their Malice counters, have a miserable time trying to stop the deck with fair hand traps that help versus the majority of other decks, but do laughably little to Malice most of the time. There was a similar issue last year with the blind second OTK deck Tenpai. The deck was a top contender in paper play, but was hindered by the fact it was weak to a lot of side deck cards, and best of 3 in going second. And after you got OTK'd game 1 and saw what they were playing, you could just choose to send them first. Yep, I mean, all fair. Calling Malice a fairly self-contained archetype and calling other decks slop when Malice is literally nothing without generic cyber slop is peak irony. I mean, this person is being so personally offended by this guy's post. When he said self-contained, he was very clearly referring to, like, the gem economy and the playstyle and learning how the deck works. I don't know why this person seems to have been personally offended by someone saying that malice is self-contained. And slop, he didn't even use the word slop. Oh, he did. Oh, he said Tearlament slop. Sure, fair. Sure, I guess. And even then, slop isn't supposed to be a pejorative term. Slop is just, like, we say fiend slop for Yubel back in the day. Like, no one... That's not like a pejorative. That's not like a negative. It's just an indication that it's like a whole bunch of fiend engines all intermixing and working well with each other. It is. I've never interpreted it that way. I've always interpreted it as a slop, as in a pile of, you know, cards that all synergize with that engine. Yubel being Fiend. Fiendsmith works really well. The Beckoning Beast. The Unchained engine. We do a vote here? I've never looked at it that way. Do you interpret the slop as a negative term or as a reference to a pile of similarly made cards? Slop is negative and mean. Slop is just a simple term for pile. Alright, press 1 if you think it's a negative term. Press 2 if you think it's just like a collection of cards. That's honestly how I always looked at it. Where's my poll here? Let's see. Wow, I am in the minority. Jeez, really? Why? I just used the term slop and pile interchangeably. Alright, whatever. Alright, so where were we? A lot of people were pretty rude in this thread. Yeah, fucking, can you believe it? Yu-Gi-Oh! Players complain about this game all the time, but if someone uses those complaints as a reason they don't want to play, they must be a scrub and a troll. I agree and disagree with some of your points, but someone give this guy a clap, by the way. I agree and disagree with some of your points, but overall your perspective is reasonable. It seems like the main reason you're leaving is the high complexity and knowledge requirements for playing the game well and keeping up with it. Exactly. High cognitive maintenance for a strategy card game. That's just how it is with Yu-Gi-Oh, right? That's fine, because while it's a reason a lot of people love the game, it does push a lot of people away. The game definitely needs more game modes, and they're fumbling on that front. For a game with so much legacy, the lack of legacy content feels like a miss. There has to be a way for them to give us some legacy modes that is mutually beneficial. Not to mention the digital aspect of the game would allow them to actually make a really good Yu-Gi-Oh! Draft and Seal mode. The game's card crafting could be better. URs are such a heavy choke point. I understand they gotta have some choke points so people need to spend money, but I wish it was a little different. Maybe make SRs a bit harder, but allow us to put N and Rs towards it. Making new decks is not that bad compared to some other CCGs. Compared to Magic, Master Duel looks like a saint. That game is horrible to try and make a new deck or build a meaningful collection with without spending a lot. Alright, well, I mean, we can round off with this. This was the comment of the thread. Wow, a reasonable human being with a nuanced, balanced take? That's crazy. Who could have fucking seen that, dude? I can't believe people see slop as negative, by the way. That's crazy to me. I don't know. I just always assumed it was like pile. That's it. Fiend pile. Using the words interchangeably. But anyway, this person quit Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're dumb and stupid and they suck. So they're wrong. Bye.